Flying a plane is no different than riding a bicycle. Just a lot harder to put baseball cards in the spokes. First, I want you to get the feel of the plane. Later, we'll run down the landing procedure.
Afternoon, everybody. How are you doing today? No, really, how are you? I genuinely want to know. We are just over 2,000 subscribers, and I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for coming on this journey with me. It means the world to me. The 1980s was a decade known for its over-the-top fashion, music, and pop culture. The movies were no exception. And some of those were spoof movies. Yes, I know they were around in the 1970s, 60s, and maybe even earlier, and definitely after the 1980s. But I feel like the 1980s was just a golden era for these types of films. Whether you're a die-hard fan of the genre or new to the world of spoofs, we're confident that you'll enjoy this trip down memory lane with some of the funniest movies of all time. So sit back, relax, and let's go! Now the first one's a little outside the box of spoofs. It's actually a mockumentary, but I love it and we're gonna cover it. So let's talk about This Is Spinal Tap. This film was released in 1984, directed by Rob Reiner, from Princess Bride and a bunch of other amazing projects, and it was also written by Rob Reiner. It starred Christopher Guest, Michael McKean, and Harry Shearer. The film follows the fictional British heavy metal band Spinal Tap, consisting of David St. Hubbins, Nigel Tufnell, and Derek Smalls.
Sound check? What,
No. This. Look. There's a little problem with the. Look, this miniature bread. It's like I've been working with this now for about half an hour, and I can't figure out. Let's say I want a bite, right? You got this.
You'd like bigger bread?
Exactly. I don't understand how.
You could
it's like
fold this, though. I mean, you could
well,
fold
no,
it.
then it's half the size.
No, not the bread. No, you can fold the meat.
Yeah, but then it breaks apart
No,
like
you
this.
put it on the bread like this, see?
But then if you keep folding it, it keeps breaking.
Why would you keep
and then
folding it?
everything has to be folded. And then it's this. And I don't want this. I want large bread so that I can put this.
Right.
So then it's like this.
Yeah.
But this doesn't work because then it's all...
Because it hangs out like that.
Look.
Yeah.
Would you be holding
No,
this?
I wouldn't want to eat. I wouldn't want to put that in my mouth.
As they embark on a disastrous tour of the United States. This film is presented in a documentary style with interviews, behind-the-scenes footage of all the band's misadventures on the road, and it satirizes the excesses and absurdities of the rock music industry, as well as the personalities and egos of the band members themselves. The humor is often dry, subtle, and relies heavily on clever wordplay and understatement. Throughout the film, the band faces a series of setbacks and mishaps, including getting lost backstage, experiencing equipment malfunctions, and playing to half-empty venues. These incidents are made even more hilarious by the band members' obliviousness and nonchalant reaction. The film culminates in a disastrous performance at a military base, where a stage prop of Stonehenge is mistakenly made too small and ends up looking comically tiny. This Is Spinal Tap is widely regarded as one of the greatest comedy films ever made, and has become a cult classic. It has influenced countless other mockumentaries and is often cited as a seminal example of the genre. So although not technically a spoof, I could not leave this film off of my list. The film's enduring popularity has led to numerous spin-off projects including albums, tours, and even a Broadway musical. The main cast of This Is Spinal Tap consists of the actors who portrayed the members of the titular band, as well as several other actors who play supporting roles or appear in brief cameos. We have Michael McKean as David St. Hubbins. McKean plays the lead singer and rhythm guitarist of Spinal Tap. He's the band's de facto leader and is often portrayed as being somewhat clueless about the band's failures and shortcomings. Aside from this film, McKean has a successful career as an actor and comedian, appearing in numerous films and TV shows, including Better Call Saul, SNL, and half of the duo Lenny and Squiggy from Laverne and Shirley.
Shirley's dead corpse! Oh my goodness, what a grisly body!
Then we have Christopher Guest as Nigel Tufnell. Guest plays the lead guitarist of Spinal Tap, known for his virtuistic solos and penchant for turning the volume up to 11. Nigel is the most eccentric member of the band and is often portrayed as being obsessed with the technical aspects of music. Guest also has a successful career as an actor and writer, and appeared in several other mockumentaries, including Waiting for Guffman and Best in Show. Then we have Harry Shearer as Derek Small. Shearer plays the bassist of Spinal Tap, who is often depicted as being somewhat aloof and mysterious. He is the most reserved member of the band and tends to stay in the background, but he has also had some of the film's funniest lines. Shearer is a prolific voice actor and has lent his voice to numerous characters on The Simpsons.
Smithers, I've got a rocket in my pocket.
Yes, sir, I know, sir.
As well as other animated shows and films. In addition to the main cast, This is Spinal Tap features several notable supporting actors such as Rob Reiner, who plays Marty, the filmmaker who is documenting the band's tour, and Fran Drescher as Bobby Fleckman, a tough-talking record executive. The film also features brief cameos from Billy Crystal, Dana Carvey, and others.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
The review you had on Shark Sandwich, which was merely a 2-word review, just said sandwich.
Where'd they print that? Where'd they print that? That's not real, is it? You can't print.
How can you make jokes at a time like this?
It's my defense mechanism.
Some defense. If I was the killer, I would kill you next.
Oh?
I said if.
Next, let's talk about Clue. Clue is a 1985 American mystery comedy film based on the popular board game of the same name. The film was directed by Jonathan Lynn and stars an ensemble cast including Tim Curry, Eileen Brennan, Madeline Kahn, Christopher Lloyd, Michael McKean comes back, Martin Mull, and Leslie Ann Warren. The plot of the film centers around a group of guests who are invited to a dinner party at a mysterious mansion owned by Mr. Body. During the party, Mr. Body is murdered, and the guests are all suspects. The film follows the group as they try to solve the murder and uncover the identity of the killer, with 3 different endings being filmed to represent the different possibilities of the outcome of the game. And this was kind of a unique idea back in the day, and it didn't really hit home with audiences in the theaters, but going to the movie in a theater and not really knowing what ending you're gonna get, that was kinda cool. Because of this, the film received mixed reviews upon its initial release, but has since become one of those cult classics and is considered one of the most beloved comedies of the 1980s. The cast, particularly Tim Curry's performance as the butler Wadsworth, has been praised for their comedic timing and delivery. And who could not love this clip that Madeline Kahn delivered so perfectly?
You were jealous that your husband was stooping at that. That's why you killed him, too.
Yes. Yes, I did it. I killed Yvette. I hated her so much. It flames on the side of my face, heaving breaths.
But while we were in the bed.
And yeah, Clue has inspired a number of adaptations and spin-offs, including a television series, a video game, and a stage play. Additionally, the film's unique structure and multiple endings have influenced other works in popular culture, including the television series Lost. Now, it's a pretty big cast, so we'll give you a quick rundown. We got Tim Curry, who plays Wadsworth, the butler who acts as the primary investigator and narrator of the story. Tim Curry is known for his other roles in such classic films as The Rocky Horror Picture Show and Legend. And he's friends with the Muppets, so how can you not love him? Eileen Brennan plays Mrs. Peacock, a Washington, D.C. socialite who is one of the guests at the dinner party. Brennan was a well-known character actress who appeared in such films as The Last Picture Show and Private Benjamin. Madeline Kahn plays Mrs. White, a black widow who is also a guest at the party. Kahn was a versatile comedic actress who appeared in such films as Young Frankenstein and Blazing Saddles, so spoofs are not lost on her. And Christopher Lloyd plays Professor Plum, a scholar with a penchant for seducing his female students. Lloyd is best known for his role as Doc Brown, of course, on Back to the Future. And Michael McKean plays Mr. Green, a timid government agent who is also a suspect in the murder. McKean is a comedian and musician who has appeared in numerous films such as This is Spinal Tap, which we just discussed, and Better Call Saul. Martin Mull plays Colonel Mustard, a military man with a history of violence. Mull is a comedian and actor who has appeared in such films as Mrs. Doubtfire, Jingle All the Way, and Roseanne. Then we have Leslie Ann Warren, who plays Mrs. Scarlet, a sultry madam who is another suspect in the murder. Warren is an actress and singer who appeared in such films as Victor Victoria and Secretary. And for me, I was a sucker for the movie Pure Country. The movie also had Howard Hessman from WKRP in Cincinnati and Colin Camp as the maid Yvette, who was also in Wayne's World as Mrs. Vanderhoff, and Die Hard with a Vengeance as Connie Kolowski. Now we're going to cover a few films that involve the Zucker Brothers. So before we do that, I thought let's just overview the Zucker Brothers. The Zucker Brothers are also known as David Zucker and Jerry Zucker, and they are American filmmakers and writers who are best known for their work in comedy. They were born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin in 1947 and 1950 respectively. The brothers began their careers in the entertainment industry in the 70s, writing and directing low-budget comedies such as the Kentucky Fried Movie and Airplane.
We get the question, could you do Airplane today? The first thing I could think of was sure, just without the jokes.
They gained reputation for their irreverent humor, pop culture references, and parodying of various film genres. In the 1980s, the Zucker Brothers continued their success with films such as Top Secret, the Naked Gun series, and they also worked on the television series Police Squad, which served as the inspiration for the Naked Gun films. The Zucker Brothers are known for their collaborative approach to filmmaking, often working with other writers and directors to bring their ideas to the screen.
Let's talk about your motion picture. $170 million. Can this be true?
Yes, it is true, but the studio keeps most of that. So I mean, by the time it filters down to us, it's no more than 5 or 6 million.
They have also been influential in the comedy genre, inspiring many other filmmakers and writers to follow in their footsteps. The Zucker Brothers have made a significant impact on the entertainment industry and are regarded as some of the most successful and innovative comedy filmmakers of all time. And that brings us to Airplane.
Now, is there anyone on board who can land this plane?
No one I know of.
Airplane is a classic American comedy film directed by Jim Abrams, David Zucker, and Jerry Zucker, and it was released in 1980. The film is a parody or spoof of disaster movies from the 1970s, specifically the movie Airport, and it's known for its over-the-top humor, fast-paced dialogue, and absurd plot twist. The plot of the film revolves around an airplane en route to Chicago that becomes a target of a series of comically disastrous events. The crew and passengers, including the troubled ex-pilot, Ted Stryker, played by Robert Hayes, must work together to overcome their problems and safely land the airplane. One of the defining features of Airplane is its use of visual gags and wordplay.
Excuse me, sir. There's been a little problem in the cockpit.
The cockpit? What is it?
It's the little room in the front of the plane where the pilots sit. That's not important right now.
The film is filmed with absurd jokes and non sequiturs, and many of its most memorable lines have become part of popular culture. For example, the film features a classic scene in which the character Johnny, played by Steven Stucker, delivers a series of rapid-fire, nonsensical lines, and of course Leslie Nielsen, who delivers the now famous line, "Don't call me Shirley."
Both pilots.
Can you fly this plane and land it?
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
The film cast also includes several other notable actors, including Leslie Nielsen, who plays the deadpan Dr. Rumek, and Lloyd Bridges, who plays the clueless air traffic controller Steve McCroskey. The film's supporting cast also includes Peter Graves, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Barbara Billingsley. Airplane was a box office success and received positive reviews from critics who praised its humor and clever parodies. The film has since become a cult classic and is considered one of the greatest comedies of all time. It has spawned several sequels and imitators, but none have achieved the same level of critical acclaim or cultural impact as the original. The cast of Airplane was praised for their comedic performances, and many of the film's most memorable moments are the result of expert timing and delivery from the actors. The film helped to launch the careers of several actors, including Hayes, Haggerty, and also revitalized the career of Leslie Nielsen, who went on to star in other comedic films.
So there's no cause for alarm. Henshaw, I'll take over. What kind of plane is it?
Oh, it's a big, pretty white plane with red stripes and curtains in the window and wheels, and it looks like a big Tylenol.
Although Airplane was probably more popular, one film I remember, and probably the first one I saw, was Top Secret.
I better do what they want. I promised my manager. Thank you, sir. Okay, watch your change in the second chorus.
Wop bop a loo bam a lop bam boom to the fruity, oh Rudy, to the fruity, oh Rudy.
It's a comedy released in 1984, directed by Abrams, David Zucker, and Jerry Zucker. The movie stars Val Kilmer, Lucy Gutteridge, and Omar Sharif, among others. The movie is a spoof of a spy and war film from the 50s and 60s. It follows the story of rock and roll singer Nick Rivers, played by Val Kilmer, who travels to East Germany to perform a cultural festival. Nick soon finds himself embroiled in a plot to reunite East and West Germany involving a beautiful woman named Hilary Flaumand. And a series of hilarious misunderstandings and mistaken identities caused this film to be a riot. The film is known for its over-the-top humor, slapstick comedy, as well as its many parodies of popular films of the time such as The Blue Lagoon, The Great Escape, and Elvis Presley movies.
With a safe haven from the rain, but sheltered us from the relentless Santa Ana winds, which would periodically ravage the island. The years passed, and as we grew up, we began to notice strange new feelings awakening within us. There was no one around to explain this. We had to learn by ourselves.
The movie features a number of memorable scenes and musical numbers, including a beach party sequence and a song called Skeet Surfin'.
Don't get tired, second wave, aim higher, third wave, pull and fire. First wave, get on the knack, second wave, pull up trap, third wave, how's that? I wish they all could be double-barreled.
Although the film received mixed reviews upon its initial release, it's become one of those cult classics and is now regarded as a comedy masterpiece. And like I said, we had Val Kilmer as Nick Rivers. He plays the role of the film's protagonist, a popular rock and roll singer who gets caught up in a spy mission in East Germany. Kilmer's performance in the movie helped launch his career, and he went on to star in many other films such as Batman Forever, The Doors, and Heat. Lucy Gutteridge as Hilary Flaumand is a resistance fighter who helps Nick Rivers on his mission. She's known for her roles in other comedies such as Bullshot and The Wolves of Willoughby Chase, and of course Omar Sharif as Agent Cedric. Sharif plays the role of Agent Cedric, a secret agent who recruits Nick Rivers for the mission. Sharif was already a well-known actor at the time, having starred in such classics such as Lawrence of Arabia and Dr. Zhivago. You also have Peter Cushing and Jeremy Kemp.
Something is wrong. Where's the truck?
Where's Hillary? I'm hungry.
Do quoi?
Oh no, not again.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime gal.
We're the Spaceballs. Spaceballs is a science fiction comedy film released in 1987. Directed by Mel Brooks and starring Bill Pullman, John Candy, and Rick Moranis, the movie parodies various science fiction films of the time, but especially the Star Wars franchise, as well as other pop cultural phenomena. The plot of the movie revolves around the planet Spaceball, whose ruler, President Screw, played by Mel Brooks, is running out of clean air and decides to steal the air from the peaceful neighboring planet Druidia. Screw sends Dark Helmet, played by Rick Moranis, to kidnap Princess Vespa, played by Daphne Zuniga, the daughter of the wealthy King Roland, played by Dick Van Patten, of the planet Druidia, in exchange for the access code to the air shield that protects the planet. However, Vespa escapes from Spaceball's ship and is rescued by a rogue pilot named Lone Star, played by Bill Pullman, and his half-man, half-dog companion, Barf, played by John Candy. Together they go on a quest to save Druidia and defeat the Spaceballs. Even reading the description now makes me realize how much I love this movie. The movie is known for its slapstick humor and pop culture references as well as its memorable characters such as Dark Helmet, and of course the wise mentor, Yogurt, played by Mel Brooks, which of course is a parody of Yoda from Star Wars.
Yogurt the all-powerful.
Yogurt the magnificent.
Please, please, don't make a fuss. I'm just plain yogurt.
The film received mixed reviews upon its release but has since gained a cult following and is considered a classic in the genre of the parody and satire films. Spaceballs also spawned various spin-offs including an animated television series, a line of merchandise, and the movie is still popular among fans of science fiction and comedy and is often referenced in popular culture.
Oh, your helmet is so big.
Art Helmet, what? You're needed on the bridge, sir. Knock on my door! Knock next time! Yes, sir. Did you see anything? No, sir. I didn't see you playing with your dolls again. Good!
For the cast, we have Bill Pullman as Lone Star, the protagonist of the movie, and a rogue pilot who is hired to rescue Princess Vespa. Bill Pullman, of course, went on to be in such films as While You Were Sleeping and Independence Day.
We're fighting for our right to live, to exist. And should we win the day, the 4th of July will no longer be known as an American holiday, but as the day when the world declared in one voice, we will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish without a fight. We're going to live on. We're going to survive. Today, we celebrate our Independence Day.
John Candy? Well, it's John Candy. He plays Barf, Lone Star's sidekick, as a half-man, half-dog creature who provides much of the film's comic relief. And I don't need to list John Candy's credits, a wonderful actor that we sadly lost.
Hello. Top of the morning, officer.
Hi.
Is there something I can help you with?
What the hell are you driving here?
We had a small fire last night, but we caught it in the nick of time.
You have any idea how fast you were going?
Funnily enough, I was just talking to my friend about that. Our speedometer's melted, and as a result, it's very hard to say with any degree of accuracy exactly how fast we were going.
78 miles an hour.
Rick Moranis, who has since retired, played Dark Helmet, the main antagonist and a bumbling villain who leads the Spaceballs and their quest to steal the air from Druidia. Daphne Zuniga as the elegant but tough Princess Vespa. She is the daughter of King Roland and the target of the Spaceball kidnapping plot. And Mel Brooks, who plays President Scroob and Yogurt. He's the director of the movie who also appears in those two roles. He plays the inept President Scroob, leader of the Spaceballs, and the wise Yogurt, who provides Lone Star with guidance and a magical item called the Schwartz. Other notable casts would of course be Dick Van Patten as King Roland, George Weiner as Colonel Sandrews, and Joan Rivers as the voice of Dot Matrix, a robot who serves as Vespa's companion. Next, let's talk about Naked Gun. Naked Gun is a classic comedy filmed in 1988, directed by David Zucker, starring Leslie Nielsen, Priscilla Presley, and O.J. Simpson.
Fire! Here, you can use my radio mic.
Thank you, Your Honor. Protecting the safety of the Queen is a task that's gladly accepted by police squad. For no matter how silly the idea of having a queen might be to us, as Americans, we must be gracious and considerate hosts.
The film is a spoof of the police procedural and detective film genre, particularly the popular TV series Police Squad that ran for only 6 episodes in 1982. The movie follows the story of Lieutenant Frank Drebin, a bumbling detective who was assigned to stop an assassination attempt on Queen Elizabeth II during her visit to Los Angeles. As Drebin investigates the case, he stumbles into a larger conspiracy involving a billionaire industrialist named Vincent Ludwig. Throughout the film, Drebin's slapstick antics and absurd misunderstandings drive this comedy, with Nielsen's deadpan delivery and impeccable timing making him a standout as a comedic actor. The film is also known for its many sight gags, puns, and wordplay, as well as its use of absurd and surreal humor. The Naked Gun was a critical and commercial success, and spawned 2 sequels, The Naked Gun 2.5, The Smell of Fear, and Naked Gun 33 1/3, The Final Insult. The film is widely regarded as one of the funniest and most iconic comedies of the 1980s, and continues to be beloved, and I'm sensing a theme here, as a cult classic to this day. And we had a star-studded cast. Leslie Nielsen's portrayal of Frank Drebin was particularly memorable and helped to establish him as a comedic actor in later years. O.J. Simpson's performance as Detective Norberg was also received praise. That is, of course, before his career was tainted by his involvement in that high-profile murder trial. Now, I'm sure there's more I'm missing, but that's my list for today. What satire or spoof films do you remember that were wonderful to you? And since our little nostalgia journey contains copyrighted content, we can't be monetized. So if you would like to support our channel, and you're gonna shop on Amazon anyway, just click on our link in the description and then shop as normal. There's no additional cost to you, and it helps us out a little bit with a referral. If not, that's okay. Thank you for being here. A like and subscribe is always appreciated. And until next time, bye friends.